This is Nightline and I'm Lena Hassanel. The top stories. Tabung Haji RCI report set for public release as early as next week. Also, Putrajaya tells UNHCR to pause refugee registrations. Good morning. The final report of the Royal Commission of Inquiry into Tabung Haji's past financial irregularities could be made public as early as next week. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the report details various instances of misconduct, including regulatory breaches, before the Pilgrims Fund was successfully restructured and restored. According to Anwar, the Chief Secretary to the government will advise whether the report should first be tabled at next week's cabinet meeting before being released to the public. Completed in 2022, the report was not made public at the time to allow the government to focus on reforming and strengthening Tabung Haji's management.
Kalau kita lakukan terlalu awal, mungkin menimbulkan keresahan daripada pencarum dan penyimpan. Sekarang saya rasa Tabung Haji telah bertapak baik dan saya tidak ada keberatan sama sekali untuk menerbitkan atau menyebarkan sebab laporan ini ada hak rakyat untuk mengetahui.
Anwar said the findings revealed numerous breaches and instances of misconduct.
I think certainly transgression of many rules and I can't say corruption, but there were certainly major abuse. And our concern at that time was on the run on the savings, on the Tabung Haji.
The RCI into Tabung Haji was established on January 19, 2022. It followed findings by the Auditor General and Bank Negara Malaysia, which revealed serious financial problems at Tabung Haji between 2014 and 2020. The institution's asset liability deficit was found to have reached 10.9 billion ringgit. The inquiry also examined audit findings by PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, and Roland Berger. The six-member commission, chaired by former Chief Justice Tun Muhammad Raus Sharif, completed its inquiry on July 19, 2022. Its final report was presented to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong the following month. On December 14, 2022, the report was tabled at a cabinet meeting. Commenting on the same issue, UMNO Secretary General Datuk Ashraf Wajdi Dusuki said the public wanted more than just public disclosure of the report, but also firm action against those found to have committed wrongdoing. He added disclosure should do more than merely create perceptions, but must be followed by bringing those responsible to justice.
Maknanya yang penting dia kena ambil tindakan, jangan hanya menimbulkan persepsi. Ya, kalau betul ada yang menyeleweng, yang terlibat dengan apa bentuk penyimpangan, rasuah dan sebagainya, memang rakyat menanti-nantikan sudah lama. Jangan hanya berlega sekitar persepsi, tetapi yang salah perlu dibawa ke muka pengadilan. Jangan ditutup siapa-siapa pun.
Meanwhile, Barisan Nasional Deputy Chairman Datuk Sri Muhammad Hassan, who is also Foreign Minister, said the release of the RCI report must follow the established procedures.
Itu terpulanglah kepada Menteri Undang-Undang untuk mengumumkannya ke Kabinet sebelum ia boleh dibentangkan ke Parlimen. Ya? Kerana sebelum apa juga paper yang nak dibawa ke Parlimen mesti dibawa ke Kabinet dan di atas persetujuan Kabinet. Ya.
Muhammad added that the matter would be subject to established procedures and that there were no issues with disclosure. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission has begun investigations into the 163 million ringgit investment loss suffered by the Retirement Fund Incorporated, KWAP, an Indonesian company, eFishery. MACC Chief Commissioner Datuk Sri Abdul Halim Aman said the Commission is currently reviewing statements from 10 key witnesses and examining documents obtained by investigating officers. According to Abdul Halim, officers collected the documents after visiting KWAP's headquarters in Kuala Lumpur on Monday and Tuesday.
Pihak SPRM akan melaksanakan jejak aliran keuangan ataupun dipanggil CTR dan juga STR bagi mengesan aliran keuangan jika ia terdapat. Pihak kami menjangkakan lebih ramai lagi saksi yang akan dipanggil.
He said the MACC has established a special investigation team led by a senior director from its investigation division to look into the case. Abdul Halim added that the probe will take a comprehensive approach, covering possible offences related to corruption, abuse of power, and misconduct. The government has directed the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, to temporarily suspend all refugee registrations. The move is intended to facilitate the restructuring of the Refugee Registration Document, or DPP, program. The decision was announced by Deputy Foreign Minister Datuk Lukanisman Awang Sauni in the Dewan Negara on Thursday. He said registrations under the DPP would be subject to a stringent screening process.
Melalui DPP, kerajaan dapat mengurus data dengan lebih tersusun, termasuk bagi tujuan penyelarasan data, pengesahan identiti, pemantauan dan kawal selia tanpa bergantung kepada rekod-rekod mana-mana entiti asing.
The exercise will involve multiple government agencies to ensure only eligible individuals are registered while curbing the entry of illegal immigrants. Malaysia is also stepping up multilateral engagement with Myanmar and other ASEAN member states to address the Rohingya refugee issue more comprehensively. Lukanisman said the measure is necessary to prevent Malaysia from continuing to bear the burden of managing refugees. The Defense Ministry has signed a letter of acceptance, or LOA, with a French defense company for the procurement of a surface-to-air missile system for the Royal Malaysian Navy's Littoral Combat Ships, or LCS. The supplementary contract is crucial to ensure the littoral fleet is equipped with an air defense capability that meet the Navy's strategic operational requirements. In a statement, the ministry said the signing of the supplementary contract reflects the government's continued commitment to strengthening the nation's maritime defense capabilities amid evolving geopolitical challenges. The document was signed by Defense Ministry's Secretary-General Datuk Lokman Hakim Ali and representatives of MBDA France at the 2026 Farnborough International Air Show in the United Kingdom last Monday. Previously, a letter of intent for 29 surface-to-air missiles for the LCS program, valued at 504.5 million ringgit, was issued to MBDA France. As of May 31st, the LCS project had achieved more than 78% physical completion. The government is finalizing the 2027 budget, which will be tabled in early October. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the budget will continue to be guided by the principles of the Madani economy framework.
The economy is a means, not an end in itself. Its purpose is not merely to produce higher numbers, greater consumption, or larger concentration of wealth, but to enable people to live with dignity, security, purpose, and hope.
Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said this in his opening speech at the Humane Economy Global Discourse 2026 in Kuala Lumpur on Thursday. He noted that no country could be governed based on sentiment alone, adding that Malaysia must remain competitive, productive, and open to investment. Prosperity, however, he said, must be reflected through better wages, meaningful employment, affordable housing, accessible healthcare, quality education, and greater social mobility. The 2026 budget, which allocated 470 billion ringgit, was the largest in the country's history. The government is confident that the national economy will remain resilient despite global trade uncertainties and geopolitical tensions. Treasury Secretary General Tan Sri Johan Mahmud Murakan said the latest economic indicators demonstrate the effectiveness of the government's measures in sustaining the economy's growth momentum. According to Johan, advanced estimates show that the economy grew by 5.8% in the second quarter, outpacing the first quarter's performance. He said the growth was supported by the targeted diesel subsidy rationalization, increased financing for small and medium enterprises, SMEs, as well as ongoing policy adjustments.
Kerajaan yakin bahawa langkah-langkah sebegitu akan terus memastikan bahawa ekonomi kekal kukuh walaupun berdepan dengan ketidaktentuan daripada situasi global.
Johan made the remarks after witnessing the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Securities Commission and Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission in Kuala Lumpur on Thursday. The agreement sets out a framework for the mutual recognition and cross-listing of protected funds. Hong Leong Investment Bank Berhad HLIB expects Malaysia's technology sector to see more earning upgrades than disappointments in the second quarter of 2026, supported by a broadening semiconductor upcycle and improved customer visibility. The research house maintained its positive outlook on the sector, saying it is entering a new earnings upgrade phase after a prolonged re-rating cycle. It expects positive earnings surprises and upward revisions to outweigh weaker results, particularly among semiconductor-related companies. HLIB also said investor sentiment towards Malaysian technology stocks remains constructive despite elevated valuations. It further said that potential inclusion in the FBM KLCI could provide an additional catalyst for selected technology counters. The Japanese yen remains under heavy pressure after sliding to 163.24 against the US dollar, its weakest level since 1986. The currency edged slightly higher on Thursday, following reports that the Bank of Japan is considering a faster pace of interest rate hikes to counter inflation driven by the weaker yen. Finance Minister Satsuki Katayama has pledged decisive action to support the currency, including possible market intervention if needed. However, the central bank is still widely expected to leave interest rates unchanged at its July 31st meeting, with any further hikes likely to come later this year. Sabah NGO president charged over 2 million ringgit fund misuse. More from the local front after this break.
Jom heboh Fun Run kembali lagi kini di Kota Samarahan, Sarawak. Sertai larian santai bersama selebriti dan personaliti media prima dalam 2 kategori, 5 km dan 8 km. Ada baju, pingat, beg hadiah dan cabutan bertuah untuk semua peserta. Larian dan kemeriahan bermula di pekarangan halaman Samarahan 2 Ogos ini. Harga pendaftaran awal terhad kepada 1,000 peserta sahaja. Layari media sosial Jom Heboh Official untuk maklumat penyertaan.
Si Anom ni, apalah yang dia tahu?
Salahnya Mak, izinkanlah Anom pergi KL.
Kerja rumah orang, Nom.
Apa nama budak tu?
Anom Suraya.
Saya akan perjelaskan maksud menjaga tu.
Astaghfirullahaladzim.
Keluarga aku ni tanggungjawab paling besar tak apa. Lebih-lebih lagi Badrul.
Allah takkan membebani sesiapa pun, melainkan sesuai dengan kemampuan dia.
Dayah, baru-baru ni saya naik bas tambang mahal betul.
Ya ke? Ingatkan zaman sekarang dah tak ramai yang gunakan bas.
Teknik grounding seperti pijak rumput tanpa pakai kasut. Apa manfaatnya?
keselamatan dan kesihatan di sekolah penting untuk pembelajaran yang kondusif.
AI atau kreativiti manusia, yang mana lebih berkualiti?
Kereta lama nak simpan ke nak jual? Nantikan kupasannya di MHI Isnin hingga Jumaat.
Jam 10 pagi di TV3 dan tonton.
Hanya kerana harta, impian menjadi raja sehari gagal.
Salju, kedatangan yang sangat kami nanti-nantikan.
Last, 7 buaya darat jadi pengganti.
Saya boleh ajar awak drive.
Serius? Lepas tu ada buaya yang tak sabar nak makan saya.
Dan awak bukan teh saya.
Mak tolonglah Mak. Salju tak nak duduk sini. Salju takutlah.
Salju dan 7 buaya setiap hari 8 malam. Eksklusif di TikTok Drama Sangat dan Tonton.
Nightline continues. A 2-year-old girl was killed after she was accidentally run over by a lorry driven by her grandfather in Gurun, Kedah on Thursday. The tragic incident occurred at about 10:20 a.m. in Kampung Bukit Kuang. Initial investigations found that the 61-year-old man was reversing the lorry, which is regularly used to transport fertilizer, when he unknowingly ran over his granddaughter.
Tapi masa kejadian memang lori ni kosong lah. Diparking di kawasan rumah dia, berdepan rumah. Semasa mengundur tanpa disedari telah melanggar cucu dia.
The child suffered severe injuries and died at the scene. Her body was sent to the forensic department at Sultanah Bahia Hospital in Alor Star for post-mortem. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act for causing death by reckless or dangerous driving, as well as the Child Act for alleged child neglect. Over in Pahang, a woman and 2 underage girls were charged on Thursday with dangerous riding. The accused, 21-year-old Nurliana Atira Roslan, claimed trial after the charge was read to her before Magistrate Wahida Zainal Abidin, while her 2 friends aged 18 and 17 pleaded guilty. All 3 were separately charged at the Kuantan Special Traffic Court on Thursday. The trio allegedly committed the offence along Jalan Kuantan Bypass at 12:30 a.m. on July 16th. Upon conviction, they may face a maximum penalty of 5 years jail and a fine of up to 15,000 ringgit. The court granted all 3 accused bail of between 2,000 and 3,000 ringgit each. The case has been fixed for mention on August 26th. Previously, a video of the trio riding recklessly and performing dangerous stunts on their motorcycles went viral on social media. In a separate case, a man's reckless decision to perform a wheelie while riding with his wife and daughter has led to his arrest. The 26-year-old was detained at the Kota Sitar District Police Headquarters Traffic Division. The dangerous stunt was captured on video and went viral on social media. According to police, the incident took place at about 12:30 a.m. on Saturday along Darul Aman Highway in Alor Star. The 17-second clip shows the man performing the stunt, lifting the front wheel of his motorcycle, while his 25-year-old wife and their 4-year-old daughter were riding with him, sparking outrage among netizens. The president of a Sabah-based non-governmental organization pleaded not guilty at the Kota Kinabalu Sessions Court on Thursday to a charge of abusing his position to obtain a 2 million ringgit state allocation for a cultural hall project. The 67-year-old accused, Makin Sos Nawai, claimed trial after the charge was read out to him before Judge Andi Razali Jaya Adadi. Makin Sos allegedly committed the offence in 2022 at the construction site of the Rungus Cultural Hall and Gallery in Kota Marudu. He was accused of using his position as the president of Pertubuhan Rungus Bersatu Sabah, PRBS, to obtain a bribe in the form of a construction allocation from the Sabah Finance Ministry. The accused allegedly submitted the application and undertook the construction himself without the approval of the PRBS Supreme Council, despite having an interest in managing the application and executing the project. The charge was framed under Section 23(1) of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Act. The court granted Makin Sos a 50,000 ringgit bail and fixed August 27th for case mention. 5 soldiers killed in Thailand's security checkpoint attack. The details when Nightline returns.
Okay. Sebenarnya lagu ini diinspirasikan daripada lagu rakyat Melayu yang lama dulu-dululah. Kisah pasangan yang nak berkahwin.
Romantik tapi dia happy. Walau macam mana struggle pun kita, di hujungnya tu ada kegembiraan. Lagu Cak Cekuk ni pop contemporary, jodoh lah.
Usaha.
Rancak.
Kena dengan trend sekarang sangat fresh. Pertama kali saya nak sangat semua orang happy melihat persembahan. Walaupun saya muda, tapi saya mengangkat muzik sebegini. Akan ku berhenti demi di kau cinta hati. Cak cekuk udang gamit. Kalau dah kata sayang, aku tak tarik balik. Pak kepuk kumpang bunyi. Kalau dah nama. Liza, I don't think she can make it.
Jika engkau menuliskan luka ini sebagai bahagianku, sunyi itu selalu buat aku rasa aman.
No!
Era mobility global, transformasi digital dan persaingan ekonomi serantau. Peranan Jabatan Imigresen menjadi semakin strategik. Sempena sambutan Hari Imigresen ke-104, melakar wajah baru imigresen.
Bersama saya dalam Soal Rakyat, Sabtu 25 Julai jam 5.35 petang, hanya di TV3.
We're back with news from the foreign front. In Thailand, 5 paramilitary soldiers were killed and 6 civilians wounded in an attack on security checkpoint in the country's insurgency-hit south. The assault took place at about 6:45 p.m. local time on Wednesday at the Bukit Asami checkpoint in Narathiwat province. Thai military officials said about 10 gunmen dressed in black and arriving in a pickup truck and on motorcycles opened fire and hurled pipe bombs at members of Task Force Ranger Regiment 45 guarding the area. The attackers also seized 3 AK-47 rifles, 3 bulletproof vests, and several mobile phones before fleeing. The getaway vehicle was later found abandoned and burned about 21 kilometers from the scene. No group has claimed responsibility and no arrests have been announced. Thai Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul condemned the attack as a brazen act of terrorism, saying it posed a serious threat to national security and undermined peace efforts in the region. The attack comes just a day after a car bomb exploded outside a police station in the same province, causing minor injuries to several officers and damage to the building. Donald Trump on Thursday said the United States would hold Iran responsible for the Houthis' actions, warning that both would soon face what he called a major military punishment. In a social media post on Thursday, the U.S. president said he was very disappointed with the Houthis, claiming they had acted very professionally and smartly during the conflict. Earlier, U.S. Central Command said it had carried out its 12th consecutive night of strikes aimed at further weakening Iran's ability to threaten civilian mariners and commercial vessels in regional waters. Iranian state media said the strikes killed 2 people near the Iraqi border, while 2 missiles also hit Bushehr, home to Iran's only civilian nuclear power plant. Earlier, Yemen's Houthis claimed to have struck 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea, raising fears of a new front in the wider U.S.-Iran conflict. The group said the vessels, identified as the Encilia and the Layla, were targeted for allegedly violating its maritime blockade. A Houthi military spokesman said the attacks were carried out using ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as drones, sparking fires on both ships. Saudi state media confirmed the Encilia was struck while sailing in the Red Sea, causing a fire on its boat, but said the crew was safe. The reported strike on the Layla has yet to be independently verified. The Houthis also claimed they had forced nearly 10 ships to turn back after announcing a maritime blockade on Saudi ports earlier this week. In another development, Trump said the proposed U.S.-Saudi civilian nuclear deal would only move forward if Saudi Arabia agrees to join the Abraham Accords and formally recognize Israel. In a social media post, the U.S. president stated the agreement was totally subject to that condition, a day after Washington and Riyadh announced the landmark nuclear partnership. Saudi Arabia has repeatedly said it will not establish ties with Israel without the creation of an independent Palestinian state, after halting normalization talks following the Gaza war in 2023. The condition adds a new diplomatic hurdle to the deal, which has already drawn criticism over concerns it could fuel nuclear proliferation in West Asia. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday vowed stringent punishment for those responsible for exam paper leaks. In his first direct response to mass protests challenging his government, Modi said fast-track courts would be set up to prosecute those involved, adding that anyone who jeopardizes the future of young people will not be spared. His remarks come after thousands of protesters, led by the social media-driven Cockroach Janta Party or CJP movement, rallied in New Delhi. The demonstrators are demanding the Education Minister's resignation over the leaks, after clashes with police earlier this week left at least 178 people injured. Still in India, at least 41 people were killed after torrential monsoon rains triggered severe flooding across northeastern state of Assam. The floods affected more than 900,000 people in over 1,800 villages, with 3 others still missing as rescue and relief operations continue. Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma said several districts experienced flooding on a scale never seen before. Authorities have since set up nearly 150 relief camps, providing shelter to about 30,000 displaced residents, while efforts to restore normalcy remain underway. Switching to sports now, badminton and the 2026 China Open. Malaysian shuttlers endured a disastrous day in the second round of the Super 1000 tournament on Thursday, with only women's doubles pair Pearly Tan and Tina clinching a quarter-final spot in Changzhou. World number 5 pair Pearly and Tina saved Malaysia's blushes by defeating Ukraine's Polina Bukhrova, Yevhenia Kantemir 21-19, 21-12 in a match lasting only 30 minutes. Pearly Tina, who were semi-finalists at last year's China Open, will play Japan's top pair and world number 3 Yuki Fukushima Mayu Matsumoto in the last 8 on Friday. Meanwhile, among those knocked out on Thursday were men's doubles pair Nur Muhammad Azrin Ayub, Tan Wee Kyong, Man Wei Chung, So Woo Yik, and men's singles shuttler Leong Jun Hao. Turning to esports and the 2026 Mobile Legends Bang Bang Mid-Season Cup. Malaysia's Selangor Red Giants, or SRG, suffered a shock 1-2 defeat to Cambodia's Pro Esports in their Group B upper bracket opener on Thursday. SRG struggled to find their rhythm early on, but turned things around as Innocent, playing Moscow, delivered a match-winning performance to secure the first point in 18 minutes. However, Pro Esports hit back in Game 2, leveling the series after a dominant display that saw them break down SRG's defense and close out the game in just 15 minutes. Pro Esports dictated the pace and the decider before wrapping up the series 2-1 to book their place in the upper bracket semi-finals. Despite the defeat, SRG's campaign remains alive as they now drop into the lower bracket, where they must fight for a place in the knockout stage. Now, before we end this edition of Nightline, here's a quick recap of the day's top stories. Tabung Haji RCI report set for public release as early as next week. And Putrajaya tells UNHCR to pause refugee registrations. And now, before we leave, let's take a look as the giant mountaintop swing perched 2,000 meters above sea level sends riders soaring over the breathtaking Swiss Alps. With that, I'm Anna Hassanel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.